Hey guys, welcome back to Critical Flick. Today I'm reviewing a new film from Netflix called Lost Girls. So Lost Girls is based on true events. It is about a series of murders that were unsolved that took place on Long Island. So I hadn't realized before I started watching this movie that I'd actually listened to a true crime podcast about this exact same event. So I was instantly intrigued to see how they were going to, replicate this horrific and kind of mysterious thing into an actual motion picture. And I have to say, I think that they nailed the overall idea of what happened. I think they did it in a pretty respectful way, a pretty tasteful way. It focuses mainly on the victims and the victims' families instead of, kind of glamorizing the actual killer, because it is an unsolved mystery. You don't know who the killer is. And I feel like a lot of movies that are about serial killers or about events like this really focus in on the killer themselves. They show a killer's point of view. They kind of dramatize things, create what they think may have happened. This doesn't really do that to the most degree. It is showing how families were affected by this event and showing the perspective of the victim, someone who maybe not would get representation in a lot of these major pictures. And I think the fact that you take someone who was killed that was a sex worker or a prostitute who doesn't really get any kind of condolences for what happened to them, people kind of brush them aside. A lot of serial killers kill people that are disenfranchised, homeless, prostitutes, the most vulnerable people in society. I think that this movie shows how those people are affected too. They're real people. These are people that were affected by this, not just numbers or not just statistics for a serial killer. Amy Ryan plays the mother of one of the girls that goes missing on Long Island. And it was really interesting to see her in this role. I really only know her from The Office, so in comedic role, but she played a person that is so conflicted so well, someone who has a dark history, who's trying to repent for some of the things that she may have fallen short as a mother. And I think that that individual storyline was just as compelling as the mystery of these events. You're seeing someone who's trying to make up for maybe feeling guilty for the fact that they weren't there for someone, or you have these interpersonal relationships with this girl's family and how they're all affected by this event. And I feel like that's lost a lot. Like I said, on a lot of these true crime films or true crime movies, you don't get the victim's perspective. You don't understand how the families are affected. You're usually following an investigator or something like that, kind of a whodunit to figure out what happened. This doesn't do that. This focus on the families and their search for justice or their search for closure. Thomasin McKenzie, who plays the victim's younger sister, also did an excellent job. She was fantastic in Jojo Rabbit. And in this film, she's someone who's trying to deal with these events in a way that a younger person would have to deal with them. I feel like the whole family was played pretty well by the actors that represented them. And overall, the whole supporting cast, everyone who's playing all these individual people, they're able to show how people are affected by it, how people are able to help each other understand during times of crisis and come together. People that are completely different, they completely dislike each other outside of dealing with loss and mourning, how they come together as a unit to try and fight back against the injustices that may be happening. And this movie also takes a little bit of time to represent things like social inequality. You're showing that people that are maybe on the lower end of the scale would be considered the dregs of society by some of the higher ups are being not looked after. They're not being investigated in the way that a high society person may have been investigated if they are murdered. And it has a commentary on that. It's something that the people involved with this were fighting to fight against. They're in this event of having lost a loved one and they don't feel like anyone's trying to solve what happened to them. So I do like that they represent that idea very well. Overall, the movie, I have to say though, is it's very slow, it's very meandering, it's very somber. It's a really, really sad movie because it's a really, really sad event. And they're able to capture that in a way that really makes you feel for what's happening. And to be honest with you, I was really upset by the end of the movie. It's really sad to watch it. It doesn't have the conclusion of a blockbuster whodunit film because no one knows. No one knows what happened. It's still an open case. And seeing even what happens to the families after the thing, it's just so sad, but it's so real in a way that they were able to represent the reality of it, not glamorize it or make it all seem like it's roses. Things are really horrible, and it shows that in a really grounded way. Whether it be the cinematography of this landscape, it's so gloomy and dark. You always have like kind of this gray filter, everything. The music is incredibly somber. It's very slow. So you're understanding just the depths that these people are going to and just the real, just down low bottom feeling that people could feel that are in this situation. So overall, I would give this movie an 8 out of 10. It's a lot better than I expected it to be. It does have a very meandering pace. It doesn't have that entertainment factor to it, but I don't know necessarily if it needs to have that. It's a serious event about a real event, so I do like that they didn't make it too over the top and exciting like some of these other films that come out that deal with serial killers, but at the same time, it is very slow and very somber and very upsetting to watch. But I did like that they do focus on the real events. They do make it seem very grounded. They do focus on the important things, not necessarily about who the serial killer is, but what these things represent maybe in society or how it deals with the people that are affected by these events. So I did really think that was well done. I think the acting was really good across the board. You see a lot of different people dealing with a lot of different emotional aspects. So overall, I just think it was a really solid film, especially coming from Netflix. So if you checked out this movie, let me know what you thought about it. If you know more about the actual events, how did it feel when it came to representing the reality of the situation? Like I said, I listened to a podcast about this, so I do have some kind of knowledge about it beforehand, but I did think they handled it well for the most part in a pretty tasteful way. So again, thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and see you next time.